Hi guys, welcome back to Charmaine's Kitchen. A pleasant good night to each and every one of you. If you're visiting my channel for the first time, I would like to welcome you to my channel. Tonight I'm going to be sharing my recipe for Pepperpot, and there is many different ways of making Pepperpot. I change it up a lot and everybody have their own unique twist in making their delicious pepper pot for Christmas. So I'm gonna show one version tonight. If you wanna see how I'm doing this, come on down and let's get started. So we have our meat here for the pepper pot, and this year I'm gonna be making the oxtail. I have all washed, and over here I have some cowheel, which will make a very delicious pepper pot. And in this bowl here I have some stewing beef. Everything is washed, and now what I like to do is season the meat a little before I start making the pepper pot. To make pepper pot, the right meat to use is a piece of meat that have some bone in, some meat and some fat. So the cow heel is perfect for that. This is like the gelatin part of the cow. And this oxtail here have the bone, the meat and some fat, which will be very delicious in the pepper pot. And I'm just adding a little bit of stewing beef to add some meat to this dish. So I'm gonna go in with my green seasoning. And the green seasoning is contained of garlic, wirrie pepper, broadleaf thyme, fine leaf thyme, and some green onions. And I'm gonna be adding to all the different meats. I have them separate because that's how I wash them. And I'm gonna be cooking the cow heel before I start cooking the other meats. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of salt now, just to season the meat. And same thing I'm gonna do for all the other ones, just to season. And then I will pressure the cow heel, and then I'll come back and put all different meats together. So now I'm just cooking out the natural water of the cow heel. And once the water is evaporated, I'm gonna pressure the cow heel with a little bit of water, because this is the hardest meat out of the three. So I wanna cook this ahead of time before I put everything together. So all this natural water is evaporated, and it starts now to stick to the bottom of this pot. So I'm going to be adding some water, not a lot, and just a little bit more than that. I will cover my pressure cooker and pressure this about 45 minutes to an hour maybe before I turn it off. After pressuring the cow heel about an hour or so, it's nice and soft, but now I have to put the rest of the meat together. So we're gonna start putting the meat, and these were marinating for a good hour, so I know the flavor will be very nice and tasty. So in the same pot that I was cooking the cow heel, this is my pressure cooker, I added the oxtail, and I'm gonna mix this in a little. I'm gonna add the stewing beef, and we're gonna cook it down until the natural water is evaporated. So in goes the beef. Once the water is evaporated, we will start adding the rest of the ingredients. And for all my friends who don't eat beef, I do have a version of pepper pot made with turkey neck. It makes an amazing pepper pot as well. And you can also make this with some lamb, some chicken, and whatever meat you prefer. So our meat has been cooking, and the natural water is evaporated. So I'm going to be adding now the cowheel back to the pot. And we're going to mix everything in. This is going to be one big pot of Pepperpot. And this never goes to waste in our house because everybody loves Pepperpot. So now I'm going to be adding my ingredients to this. These are some of the ingredients I'm going to be adding to our Pepperpot. I had already marinated the meat with some thyme, garlic, green onions, and wirrie pepper. Wirrie pepper is actually a star for this Pepperpot. I like to add it because they have a really delicious flavor. So I have the large wirrie. This here is one. They're really big. I cut it in two because I want the flavor to really seep into the meat. And then I'm using 3 of these ones. So when I open it out, all those delicious flavor will enhance the meat very well. Here I have some cinnamon sticks. And this is one large cinnamon stick that I broke up into small pieces. I have here some clove. And I'm using about 10 to 12 pieces of clove. I have a lot of fine thyme, and I'm going to be adding that to the meat as well. Fine thyme really goes well with Pepperpot. Over here I smash 2 large cloves of garlic, and I'm going to be adding them just as they are here. And I have some dried orange peel that I'm going to be adding to the Pepperpot. So let's start adding them now. So we're gonna add everything at once, and then we're gonna mix it in. But before I mix everything, I'm gonna add the thyme, but I'll add some with the stems and some without the stem, because the stem is also full of flavor, and we want this Pepperpot to have a very good flavor when it's done, because we want to enjoy our Christmas Pepperpot. Let me know in the comments below what you're making your Pepperpot with this year. Every year I try to change it up because you can use pretty much any meat that you enjoy with the Pepperpot. So all the thyme is going in here now. And this is one pot that you can keep adding as you go. That's what I like about this dish. It takes a while to cook, but you can keep adding as you go. So now I'm going to be adding some salt. I already add salt to the meat, but I want to add some now. And if we do need more, we can add it later. So let's mix all that goodness. We're gonna garnish with some green onions when we're done. But we need to add the next star of the dish, which is our cassareep. And I have here some Pomeroon cassareep, which is really good for this Pepperpot. So I'm gonna put in. So now we're gonna add 1 cup of our cassareep, and cassareep will give this a nice flavor plus color, and it helps to preserve your Pepperpot. And the Pepperpot can last for up to a week if you keep warming it up every day. In the fridge it can go for a little bit longer. So I'm gonna add all that goodness. If you're adding more meat, you will have to add a little bit more of the cassareep, or if you're adding less meat that I'm using today, you're gonna have to regulate your cassareep because you don't want to add too much to overpower the dish. So we're gonna mix all this up, and you can leave this to cook about an hour and a half to 2, just like this with the pot open up. You can pressure this in your pressure pot, and you can finish this in half an hour to 45 minutes. Depends on how you like to prepare your Pepperpot. The pepper pot is looking good already. I'm gonna be adding some water into the pot, and I'm adding here about 6 cups of water. I think that's enough. I'm gonna mix everything in now. And once it starts cooking up, you can average the color that you like your pepper pot to be, if you want to add some more of the cassareep or not. But I'm gonna let it cook for a little before I add anything else to the pot. So we'll check this back in about half an hour or so. So the pepper pot has been cooking for half an hour now, and it is looking nice, but we still have about an hour and a half more to go, or until the meat is nice and soft and tender. So I am slow cooking this one, and I believe I'm gonna finish this tomorrow, but I'll show you guys the process tomorrow as well, and until it's done and finished and ready to eat. Look how beautiful the pepper pot looks after sitting overnight in this beautiful juice and liquid. It is not completely done yet, so I am gonna start cooking it again until the meats are nice and soft. They're actually soft, but not to the texture that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna continue to boil this again. And while I'm cooking this pepper pot, I'm taking out the oil that comes up on top, so we don't have an oily pepper pot, and we're gonna have a delicious gravy when we're ready without too much of oil. So my pepper pot is done, looking very nice and delicious. It is done the way I like it. The meat is very nice and soft. And the smell of that pepper pot in my kitchen, the entire house have that beautiful aroma of Christmas. That smell of pepper pot is just a very beautiful, satisfying smell. So I'm gonna finish up with the bread, and then I'll show you, or I'll let you guys know how this tastes. So to go with our pepper pot, I'm making some homemade bread. And I have the amount here for 4 loaves of bread, but if you like, you can always break it down to a smaller portion. In here I have 6 cups of flour, because I keep my bread for a few days during the holidays. And I have here some dry flour for kneading. I have some yeast here for the bread, butter, some brown sugar, and lukewarm water. I'm gonna show you how I put the bread together step by step. So to activate the yeast, I like to add some sugar, because this helps to activate the yeast faster. And then I'm gonna add the yeast to the sugar, and we're gonna add some of the lukewarm water. I have 2 cups of lukewarm water here. I'm gonna add half of it. I'm gonna mix this a little. I'm gonna cover this down with a tea towel, and then we'll come back to it after 10 minutes. So in the flour, I'm gonna add my brown sugar, and we're gonna mix this up a little. This will add some flavor to the bread and give it that nice sweet-ish taste. And now we're gonna add our butter to the flour, and I'm using salted butter, so I won't be adding any salt to this bread. If you're using unsalted butter to make your bread, please remember to add a pinch of salt. So we're gonna mix this in. And once the butter and the sugar is nicely mixed in, I will start kneading the dough. with the yeast and some additional water. So look how beautiful the yeast has risen, and now I'm gonna add this right into the center of the flour and butter mixture here. And we will get out all that goodness. Now I'm gonna mix that, and then you can add as you go a little bit water at a time and mix. So I'm gonna add my rest of the lukewarm water. You need just about 2 1/4 or 2 1/2 cups of water for this amount that I'm doing. And bread is so simple to make. Just a few ingredients and a little bit of time to wait for it to rise, and you will enjoy your own freshly baked bread. So I guess some more water here. And I'm gonna go in with my hands. I have more control with my hands than the spoon. So now we're gonna give this a good kneading. I have that nice kind of off-white color, but that's because of the brown sugar and the butter that I added. But it's gonna have a beautiful flavor. So now I'm gonna knead this until the entire dough comes to a perfect firm dough, like a one piece of dough. And then I will show you guys what I'm looking for after kneading it. So the dough is nice and really soft at this moment. And I just want to mention one thing. If you're making the bread and you find that the dough is really soft and you think that you can't fix it, it's very easy. Just add a little bit of dry flour and keep kneading it until you have that firm texture that you're looking for, and you're gonna be all good and well to go. If you have a very tough dough, then you add a little bit water on your fingers and keep kneading the dough until you get the dough back nice and soft. As you can see, this is very soft. So I am adding a little bit of dry flour, and I'm gonna bring it to the firmness that I'm looking for. So our dough is nice and soft and well kneaded. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let this dough sit for about 45 minutes to an hour. So because I'm making 4 loaves, I'm gonna divide the dough into 2 equal parts. And I'm just rubbing some butter here in this bowl because I'm gonna put half of the dough over here. And let me just break the dough. So we're gonna leave them to rise some more. So I'm gonna put this one here in this bowl. They're so soft and already have that smell of bread in it. So I'm gonna leave this one in here, and then this bowl that I was kneading this one in, I'm just gonna quickly brush the bottom, and I'm gonna put this one to rise in here. And you want to put them in a nice warm place like your oven or your microwave. And then when you come back, you should have double the size. I'm gonna leave it for 45 minutes to an hour, or even more is better. So look how big one of our dough turned out. Nice and risen. And this is for 45 minutes. Today I can't do it longer because I'm very busy today. So we're gonna punch this. Nice And look at that, Jess. I know you wish if you could go in here, right? So I already cleaned my countertop. I'm just gonna put some flour, and I'm gonna knead the dough a little bit more. And it's nice and soft. Look at that. So nice and so soft. That's what you're looking for. So I'm just gonna roll it in a little. The more you roll it and you knead it, you're gonna have a nice fluffy bread inside. So a little bit of that kneading will go a long way. So after kneading the dough a little, I'm gonna cut this dough in half. Let me see here. Because I'm gonna make out of this one a loaf pan and a flat bread. So this one is gonna be our loaf. I just lightly brush the loaf pan with some butter. We're gonna add this piece here, and we're gonna leave this bread to sit for another 45 minutes to an hour, and then we will come back to this. It's gonna raise and almost fill this loaf pan. So now this one is the fun one now. We're gonna braid this one, so I'm gonna just roll it out a little bit more, because this piece is gonna be our flat bread, because we love our pepper pot with a nice old-fashioned plant bread. So we need 3 pieces, and we're gonna need a little piece for the top. So I'm just cutting that, and then what we're gonna do, we're gonna roll this out to a nice long piece so we can plait them. So now we're gonna make the flat bread, and we just wanna join the top. When you're doing it, you wanna make sure that you have 3 long equal pieces, so you're not gonna run short. And like when you're plaiting here, we're just gonna crisscross and bring it over, and then you keep doing that, just like when you're plaiting your hair. And make sure that you go under and over, like that, under and over, and then you'll get a hang of it. And then once you let it sit for another 45 minutes to an hour, you're gonna have, it's gonna rise back again to a nice big form dough, and then it's gonna be ready. So I'm using one of these long baking dish to bake this one in, and we're gonna cover these and leave them back in a warm place. This is the other dough, and look how nice it has doubled in size. Now I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with that one, and I'm gonna make 2 loaves out of this one. I'll show you when I'm finished. So the last one, I forgot to show what I'm doing with the extra piece, so I just roll it out, and then I just attach it on the top of it like this, because that's the way they do the flat bread. So now this one here, I'm gonna add to this baking dish. We're gonna leave them to rise some more, and then we're gonna bake them for about 20 minutes or so. So let's check out our bread now to see how they rise. Oh my gosh, look at this one.
It's so fat.
Because it rises more. So remember to leave it in a nice, show this one as well, Jess, in a nice warm place, and the bread will rise again. So now I have my oven. This one is actually flowing over. Warming up 350 degrees. I'm gonna put these in for 20 minutes or until brown. And we're gonna have fresh bread for our pepper pot in the morning. So guys, our breads are finished and looking nice and ready for tomorrow. What I like to do when they just finish is to brush them with some butter. And then we're gonna let them cool down, and I will show you guys, or I'll cut the inside and show you guys how it looks. And I just add the other 2 to the oven, And in 20 minutes, those will be ready, and I'll show all together when we're done. So our last batch of bread are done. They come out so nice. I'm just gonna brush them with some butter, and we're gonna let them cool completely before we cut into these. Look how nice the flat ones came out. So nice and so soft. The other two is like so soft, but I will reveal the inside after they're cold. So here is my delicious homemade bread and my pepper pot. My pepper pot was made with oxtail, cowheel, and some stewing beef. It is done deliciously nice and soft, and the aroma in my kitchen is very tempting. So I have my 2 flat bread here. They're nice, and look at this bread, so nice and soft. And I have the loaf bread. I had to make a double batch of bread because it's gonna last us for a few days, but I just want to share my recipe. This is what we're gonna have tomorrow for breakfast. So hope you guys enjoy this recipe, and Merry Christmas to each and every one of you from Charmaine's Kitchen and family with love.